Hello everybody and welcome to another video on AP U.S. Government and Politics. This is Chapter 13 on elections and voting behavior. So there's three types of elections. Primary elections, so the voters select party nominees. So this will be usually done before a major election and ballots get sent out. And then there's the general elections, the contest between the candidates from different parties. So this will be the actual elections that are held in November, and the initiatives and referendums. So voters engage in making or ratifying legislation at the state level. Specific policy elections. So many U.S. states vote on their policies. So a referendum is ratifying a policy proposed by the state legislator. And there's initiative petition. So citizens proposing legislation, usually by gaining signatures on a proposed law equal to 1/10 of the number of voters in previous election. And then there's a recall, removing a state or local official before the end of his or her term. So the first electoral transition of power was in 1800. There was no primaries, no nominating conventions, no candidate speeches, and no entourage of reporters. State and local organizations promoted their causes. So presidents were excluded from campaigns, and they were seen as undignified for office. Newspapers didn't care about dignity or honesty, and the focus was on state legislators, which chose electors. And each elector casted 2 votes, and Jefferson tied with Aaron Burr, and the House had to decide the election. And this led to the amendment calling for running mates. And this was the first peaceful transfer of power between parties. Now let's fast forward to the 2000 election. Al Gore wins the popular vote, but Bush wins the Electoral College. Presidency decided by Florida is a Florida law mandated recount because of margin of less than 1,000, and the Florida Supreme Court ruled in favor of the recount requested by Gore. And the U.S. Supreme Court rules that if one country is one county is recounted, they need to be recounted, but there's not enough time remaining. So Bush wins. Whether to vote, a citizen's first choice. So you're deciding whether to vote. So there's legitimacy, the people's belief that the government has the right to rule. Political efficiency, or efficacy, the belief that one's political participation really matters. There's civic duty, the belief that in order to support a democratic government, a citizen should always vote. There's registering to vote. In 1888, West Virginia had 159,000 voters or votes, but only 147,000 eligible voters. So states adopted voter registration to prevent fraud. And North Dakota actually has no registration. The biggest indicator of voting is voter registration. And the Motor Vehicle Act of 1993 required states to offer voter registration when citizens would go in to obtain their driver's license. And in some states, recent proposals would require an ID. And let's continue. So who votes? These factors increase the likelihood of voting. Age, income, education, marriage, Caucasian, female, and union member, government worker, and if you were a northerner. And the mandate theory of elections. The mandate theory of elections is the idea that the winning candidate has a mandate from the people to carry out his or her policies. So policy voting is the idea that electoral choices are based on voters' policy preferences and where the candidate stands on policy issues. Retrospective voting is the idea that incumbents who have provided desired results are rewarded with a new term, and those who fail are not reelected. So, what have you done lately? In the last battle, the Electoral College. So the Electoral College actually elects the president. Founders wanted him chosen by the elite of the country. The states have to choose their electors, and winner-take-all system gives bigger emphasis to more populated states and battleground states. And the last battle, the Electoral College. So how it works today is each state has as many votes as it does representatives and senators. So winner of popular vote typically gets all the Electoral College votes. And electors meet in December, and votes are reported by the Vice President in January. If no candidate gets 270 votes, the House of Representatives votes for one for president, with each state getting one vote.